What's the crack, lads and lassies? Today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into the huge nerfs and also buffs that have come to Marvel Snap in today's OTA. The biggest change today has to be the nerfs to the bounce archetype. Two key cards within bounce decks have been hit in this OTA. Those are Kitty Pryde and Hitmonkey. So let's jump straight into it, guys. So the old Kitty Pryde obviously was a 1-0. When this returns to your hand, +2 power, returns at the start of each turn. The change that has been made is instead of it being a 1-0 with +2 on return, it is now a 1-2 with +1 on return. It states here in the notes that Kitty's the best performing card in all bounce decks, so she's an ideal candidate to target. I think this is fair. I think it's definitely fair to say that, in not even just in bounce decks, but if you get Kitty at the start of the game, you keep just kind of throwing her down. But at the end of the game, you're getting probably on average, I think, 8 power. And actually says this in the notes as well, pretty commonly making it to 8 power. So I think with this change, it's gonna probably lean towards maybe being like 5 or 6 power consistently. Maybe not, but I think it's a fair change. Won't completely destroy the card, but that's Kitty's change. Moving on to Hitmonkey. The old one's obviously a 2-0 on reveal, game +2 for each of the card you played this turn. The only change to Hitmonkey is purely stat-based, so going from a 2-0 to a 3-2. It's stated here that this is the next strongest card within the bounce archetype, and that's the reason why they are hitting Hitmonkey with a nerf. Not too sure I completely agree with the change in terms of just the stats. It obviously eliminates the kind of possibilities of the line of where if your hand is kind of bad anyways, you throw out your Hitmonkey on like turn 2, turn 3, and then beast it back because now it costs 3, right? So I don't know if it's going to make the card like unplayable. I think it's probably a fine change, but I'm curious to see how the bounce decks adapt with all of these changes in general. But yeah, let me know down below in the comments, guys, how you feel about this change. Do you think it's going to make Hitmonkey unplayable? Do you think bounce is just going to go in a different direction? Really curious on all of your thoughts down below. Moving on to Spider Hand. This is technically included within the bounce archetype, but I didn't include it because not everybody has this card. The old card it's just a 1-1, and the only change is the stats from a 1-1 to a 2-2. I don't think this change is bad whatsoever. It being a 1-1 was actually like really powerful in general. And within the bounce archetype, not everybody has access to Spider Hand. Like not everybody has this card yet, so it's very easily replaceable that you just throw another generic bounce card into the deck. So I think this change is fine overall. The next change we have here is a buff to PHOENIX Force, guys, moving from a 5-6 to a 4-5. I'm super happy with this change. I think it's going to help the card a lot. I know a lot of people weren't too happy with how this card was performing off the get-go, but I think this really helps the card for a number of different reasons. And now with your destroy cards like Carnage and Venom, you can like lead into a turn 4 PHOENIX Force, where previously you couldn't. You kind of had to do something else on turn 4 and then wait until turn 5. Obviously combos really well with Zabu now, so you can do some really cool Zabu shenanigans with this card. So maybe some cool hybrid destroy move decks. That's the main deck I've been playing, is like the destroy move with PHOENIX Force. So I think this is going to help the card a lot, to be honest. Basically, if you have Zabu on board, it's basically going to become like a mini Vision, which is really cool. So really looking forward to see how this change impacts the meta. We also have another buff coming to the move archetype, folks. Ghost Spider has been changed from a 2-3 stat line to a 1-2. I think this is overall great for the card. Very interesting that they changed 2 season pass cards kind of within this OTA, but it's great to see that they're showing the move archetype some love. Some really cool spicy combos that you can do with Ghost Spider now that she is a 1 cost. I think this is a great change. I think a lot of people are going to play this card now. Now that's a 1-2. Killmonger in the question. Yeah, sure, but like Killmonger affects Human Torch when you play move anyways. That's probably not too much of a concern, but just to know, obviously, just be aware that Killmonger is a card within the game. So yeah, overall, I love this change, and I can't wait to see what decks Ghost Spider will be introduced to now and what other types of combos people will pull off with her. The next buff we have, guys, is Living Tribunal, changing from a 6-6 stat line to a 6-9 stat line. Some people may not particularly look at this as a buff because now Living Tribunal is definitely exposed to Shang-Chi. Maybe I think it would have been really nice at a 6-8, but it's basically not really a 3 power increase because of how Tribunal works with the split. It's more so like kind of like a 1 power increase overall. But I'm really excited for this change. Definitely going to be trying out Living Tribunal again in a lot of fun decks. My main one being Living Tribunal Hella decks. I really had a lot of fun with that. And obviously like the ongoing shenanigans with like Iron Man and Onslaught. So super excited for this change. We'll definitely be trying out some more Living Tribunal decks. But the most exciting thing to come from this OTA has to be the MAGIK change. She's changed from a 5-3 to a 3-2. This is a really good change in my opinion. It basically means that both obviously yourself and your opponent are going to be more aware that there will be a turn 7 happening, and then you can both kind of plan your turns more efficiently leading into that turn 7 rather than it just popping on turn 5 and maybe not really having a plan. Obviously, if you include MAGIK in your deck, you want to have a plan leading into turn 7, But I think this is a great change personally. I really do wish Magic was how she was during beta. In the beta, she didn't have that restriction. You can't play this on turn 6. You used to be able to play her on turn 6, and that made for some really exciting moments where your opponent would think the game's over. You play her on turn 6, and boom, there's a turn 7. But that was the biggest reason why she was changed. So I would love to see that reverted. I don't know, maybe it would be like super, super toxic. For any of you guys who did play during beta, let me know your thoughts on that down below. And just to note, guys, within the OTA, the devs do specify that in the next patch, they want to restore her to be able to be played on turn 6, but they will just disable her on reveal effect on turn 6 when that happens. So they'll change the wording around, but basically it means like if you want to play a 3-2 on turn 6, you can. It means it doesn't restrict you from not playing the card at all. So overall, some great Magic changes. And the last change that we have in today's OTA is to the Great Web location. Essentially, it's just going to appear less frequently moving forward. I think they stated that it's actually at the moment in like their common pool of locations in terms of rarity. But I think overall, this change is fine. Doesn't really affect me. As I said, I think it's interesting when it pops. But overall, if it doesn't show up and it's a different location, doesn't really bother me too much. So that's a full breakdown of today's OTA. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.